Y'all, welcome to test corrections. So as a reminder, y'all will need to complete these test corrections if you made less than a 70 on your test. To know if you made less than a 70 on your test, you will need to either check your Skyward or contact your teacher. Depending on Mr. Elmore and how Ms. Stevenson are doing it, they may also put your test grade in Canvas. But if you need to know if you need to complete test corrections, check your Skyward first for the VoiceMoodTone test. And then if you still can't find out if you made less than a 70, contact your teacher. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and jump in and get started. Again, you'll only need to do this if you scored under a 70, but you're welcome to do it if you scored above a 70 and you just want to improve your score. So we're going to look at the 5 most missed questions on the test. You are responsible for completing 3 of those test corrections. So our 5 most missed questions this time were 1, 2, 3. It's always in order. 5 and 9. So we're going to be looking at questions 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9. You are only responsible for completing 3 out of the 5 of these based on which ones you think you might have missed. So you won't actually know exactly which questions, sorry, I clicked the wrong one. So you won't actually know exactly which questions you missed because we're online and face-to-face, we're a mix of both. We cannot release how you did on certain test items to you, which is lame, I know. But we want you to look at the most missed questions and pick 3 that you think you might have gotten incorrect. Okay, also, there is one thing. When you get to our Canvas, so the video I'm doing right now is going to be right here where it says test correction video. If you guys look at this link, it says click here to access your test corrections. If you click on that link and it opens this thing up and says copy document, that's good. You want that. You're going to make a copy. If instead you click on it and it automatically opens this up, if there's nothing at the top that says copy of, you need to make a copy of this. So again, if the thing pops up that looks like, and now of course I'm just like clicking on like crazy. If the thing pops up that looks like this, you're good to go. That's exactly what you want it to look like. If that doesn't pop up, you need to go to this, go to File, and then click on Make a Copy. The Make a Copy feature is not working so hot in Google these days. So make sure that you're actually clicking on that, that you have your own copy and you're not erasing somebody else's work. Sorry, technical difficulties last time. I want to make sure that you guys know what's up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go with the test corrections. Here we go. Reminder that you do need to read the full passage for each passage that we do. It is essential in 8th grade because otherwise, you're just going to get bits and snippets, and you will probably get the good distractor answer instead of the correct answer. So let's go ahead and do number 1. Number 1, based on the last stanza, the reader can conclude that the speaker, so stanza is basically just a fancy word for a paragraph in a poem or a part of a poem that's set aside from the other parts. So it looks like this poem has 1, 2, 3 stanzas. So here's the last stanza. Based on this last stanza, the reader can conclude. All right, let's go and look at it. But wait, what is this? Here it comes, an idea. Quickly marching words, all in a line, 40. Stepping forward with order and grace. And now there forms in my mind a sentence screaming for the page, urgent to leap onto that first line, 45, like a runner at the start of a race, charged with excitement, ready to join the pace, fully certain of a job well done. Hello, words, 50, hello, victory. So that would be really confusing if you hadn't had a chance to start from the beginning and read this short passage. This is basically like a teacher had given the student an assignment, I'm guessing, that they had to write 50 words on a page. So at first they're kind of frustrated because no words are coming. They're literally writing about the fact that there's no words coming out. And then all of a sudden these words start kind of pouring forth. So based on the last stanza, the reader can conclude that C, the writer has begun expressing ideas freely. A lot of you guys picked B and said that the writer hopes to finish writing soon. Well, it seems like that in the beginning, in the first stanza, because they talk about how they can't come up with anything and they need ideas. But by the time you get to the last stanza, they're saying, oh, here it comes, an idea. I have a sentence. So they have actually begun expressing ideas freely. At first, they were just talking about the words that were coming out or that they needed. And then finally they say, oh, here's an idea. So the best answer is C. Here we go for your test correction. Number 1, the best answer is C because after struggling with the beginning of the poem, the best answer is C because after struggling with the beginning of the poem, the writer begins to freely express ideas. If you need to hear that again, you can always click the back button. Let's go on to the next most missed question. That's question number 2. Read these lines from the poem. Here it is again, that ghostly blank page, staring me down, glaring at me in defiance. Here, the page says, place your words here. These lines highlight the speaker's discomfort because they show that. So as always, guys, instead of just looking at this box, we want to go find this in context. We want to see what comes before it and after it so we can get a bigger picture. Oh, it starts at the beginning, so that makes it easy. Here it is again, that ghostly blank page staring me down, glaring at my defiance. Here, the page says, place your words here. Fill my lines, crowd me with words, all kinds of words, happy, joyous words, angry, jangled words, 10 burdened words, sad words, any words. Just write, it says. Okay, so we want to know, this is highlighting the speaker's discomfort. Obviously, the speaker wants to write words, but there's nothing coming out. The question is why. So are these words showing that the page doesn't provide the speaker with useful ideas? That the speaker doesn't feel like writing at this? Well, did the speaker actually say they don't feel like writing? No, but it still could be the right answer. The page appears to be taunting the speaker, or the speaker is unsure of where to write his thoughts. So we need to look at this specific part. Here it is again, that ghostly blank page staring me down. So they're making the page, they are, oh my gosh, go figure, I need to say a word and I can't. They are personifying the page. So they're basically giving the page human thoughts, the idea that the page can stare back at you. So if something is staring at you, glaring at you in defiance and saying, here, put your words here, guys, that's taunting. So the page does appear to be taunting the speaker. A and B were great distractor answers. But the author never really quite comes out in this little passage right here and says anything about not having ideas. Or the reader never says anything, never says anything about not feeling like writing. But we do see the page staring down the writer. So that's our best answer. All right, here we go. Number 2. C is the best answer because the author says the page is staring him down. C is the best answer because the author says the page is staring him down. So again, that's taunting. Taunting means to make fun of or to poke at somebody, to try and get them to get angry or something. All right, moving on to number 3. In stanza 2, the poet's use of metaphor suggests that. So I'm going to scroll down here. So now we know a stanza is like a paragraph, so this is going to be stanza 2. In stanza 2, the poet's use of metaphor suggests that. So you need to remember the word metaphor. This is going to be when you are comparing two things. In poetry, we use simile and metaphor. Simile is when you use a word like or as to compare things. Like he was as dumb as a box of rocks, as in not very smart. Or she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. That's a simile. A metaphor is going to be when you compare two things, but you don't directly come out and say like and as. So you could say that my stomach was an ocean of butterflies. So instead of saying my stomach felt like butterflies, I'm saying my stomach is butterflies. So metaphors don't use like or as. All right, so we want to know, what is the metaphor that our person is using and what does it suggest? But what does the page know of that secret, silent soul sitting in the center of me? That frozen up one, that defiant little imp who refuses to speak, 30. Does that smug, sassy sage, that demanding page, with all its bald and boring blankness, know how to find the key to unlock inside me that treasure chest, 35, chock full of brilliant words and thorny thoughts? So there are a couple of metaphors here. He talks, I thought it was a she, so I keep saying she, but it's he. So he talks about how he has a secret silent soul sitting inside of him, which is like an imp that refuses to speak. They also use this metaphor that there's this key that must be inside of him that will unlock all of those words and all of those difficult thoughts to get at. So what is this use of metaphor actually suggesting? Why is the author using that? Does it suggest that words can help writers generate ideas? That ideas can overwhelm writers? That exercise helps writers develop their thoughts? Or that writers depend on others to complete their work? Well, we know it's definitely not D because that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Exercise, it doesn't really talk about doing something over and over again or exercise. So we know it's got to be A or B. The correct answer is going to be A in this case, though a lot of you guys picked B. I think because there's this there's a feeling of being overwhelmed in the poem. I think a lot of you guys picked that one. But the reason the best answer is A is going to be hidden in that metaphor that they were asking about. They're saying, can that page find the key to unlock the brilliant words and thorny thoughts? So it's this idea that when we come up with words, when we write words, they can actually help unlock these other words inside of us. It's like a domino effect. The more we write, the more words will come out. So here we go. For number 3, A is the best answer because the metaphor talks about unlocking words. A is the best answer because the metaphor talks about unlocking words. Okay, our next 2 will be pretty quick here. Number 5, which lines from the poem reflect a lesson that the speaker learns? To adequately get that lesson, guys, you really need to, we're going to ignore when the bell rings here in a second. To adequately get that lesson, you really need to make sure that you read the full passage from start to finish so you can see what the narrator learns. So the best answer for number 5 is, again, going to be C, because what the narrator is showing throughout, what the writer is showing throughout this poem is that they're starting with this frustration and lack of words, but the more they write, the more time they spend thinking about things, the more words start to come. And that's exactly what we see right here. Start with any scribble, so any doodles or words on the page, and soon the ideas will form. That's exactly what our poet did in this passage. So you're going to say for number 5 that C is the best answer because the writer starts with frustration, but as he writes, the ideas come to him. C is the best answer because the writer begins with frustration, but as he writes, the ideas come to him. Our final number is number 9. This is about the poem Midnight. Short kind of about this poem. It is about that feeling you get on Sundays sometimes when you wake up and you can't go back to sleep, or you can't fall asleep in the first place because you're just kind of anxious about that Monday. So it's about waiting for Monday to come. The fun of the weekend is gone, and now we're just thinking about Monday and what we're going to do, and it's hard to go to sleep. So which line from the poem best expresses the speaker's sense of dread? So dread is that terrible feeling inside that something bad is coming or something intense is coming. So we have to have one of our lines mean something about something intense coming. So, and it's midnight, just tells us about the time of day. Needed rest has nothing to do with anything about dread, about that feeling that something bad's coming. So at least this was C or D, and a lot of you guys picked D, I think because of that ellipsis, those 3 lines. So the idea of something being so many miles away, from so many miles away, it looks dramatic, but which one is actually about that sense of dread, about something coming? It's the idea of when you lie in wait, that you can't go to sleep. So the best 2 lines would be either about waiting because you can't go to sleep, or literally saying, why can't I get to sleep? So here we go. For number 9, the best answer is C because the author feels dread because she can't sleep. The best answer is C because the author feels dread because she can't sleep. She's just lying awake in wait. All right, guys, that's it. Remember, on this, you will need to complete 3 out of the 5. And good luck and happy test correcting. The end for now.